So, this is from Fox News again. I got a lot of Fox News on this one, man. But they're the most unhinged, so they're also the funnest to watch a lot of the time. But so this video is this is a classic America propaganda move. For some reason, we always, like, every single one of our enemies somehow is always recruiting child soldiers, it feels like. And so Fox News is about to start that same old tale as old as time of Iran begins recruiting child soldiers. I guess it's happening, people. We'll see what they have to say. I have a feeling that like, I don't think Iran needs child soldiers, to be honest, right now. Like, they're like, I think they have plenty of like military age recruited people or whatever. Sorry, I'm trying to read what you're saying. It didn't show up on my chat. Rich buddy, 1 second. OBS being annoying. People or what? Whoops. Yeah, all stemming from the Epstein files. Definitely, that's a possibility. I'm not saying that, like, I'm not one of these people who believe that, like, this is some distraction or whatever from the Epstein files, or that's how it was intended to be. Because I do think America's, like, imperialist ambitions have been, like, leading to this war over the past, like, 30 or 40 years. And Iran kind of knew that as well, that when they, like, how they designed their society and stuff. But I do think that, like, you know, multiple things can be true, right? And also, like, you know, I think like Netanyahu definitely has, you know, that leverage over Trump, which makes it easier for him to get, like, these sorts of things to happen. Like with Trump's, like, you know, Epstein relations and stuff. So it's like, you know, it all makes all of these things sort of coalesce into this happening now. But I do think America's, you know, imperialist ambitions would have kind of led to this war regardless, is my opinion personally. But okay, let's go. Sorry, let's get into this video. Iran begins recruiting child soldiers.
We own the airspace, so we're constantly surveilling day and night. When we identify, we destroy. There's no problem in executing destruction. The challenge is identifying. But this is about vigilance. This is about discipline. This is about our capability. We're good at it.
General Jack Keane a bit earlier today giving us a state of affairs right now for the war in Iran. Day 35, and this was the bridge that was hit this week. Said to be the tallest bridge, still a bit under construction right now, tallest bridge in the Middle East. And you can see, like, a span of that bridge has just been knocked out. This is a satellite image of it about 45 minutes west of Tehran. It was posted on the president's Truth Social page yesterday. So on the map in Tehran over the past 36 hours, some of the military action that'd be located right about here. And you see the inset, that graphic to the left of Tehran. So you've got at least 1, 2, 3, 4, about 7 different hits on the capital city.
Dude. This is how you know it's going terribly. I said this before, but, like, when they start talking about how many targets they've hit, like 1,200 targets, 1,300 targets, it's just number go up bullshit. Like, they're just trying to sell you the war. That, like, tactical operations, like the number of targets hit, does not imply any sort of strategic plan or victory. So this sort of stuff, like, I see right through it. This is, like, some of the most annoying, like, basic, like, not even trying propaganda. Like, and it's what's really frustrating to me is I feel like I have to always re-explain this because they do the same thing over and over again in every war. Like, I have to re-explain, like, tactical, like, number go up shenanigans like this does not imply any sort of strategic outcome. But yeah, I see what you're doing, buddy.
City of Tehran alone. And down here along the Strait of Hormuz, again, that's Bandar Abbas. You've been watching our show for the past 2 weeks. Talked a lot about that city right along the Persian Gulf. it had another confirmed airstrike in the past 36 hours. The Iranians, meanwhile, they have not been silent now, with their missile batteries and their drones still not largely intact, but apparently a good number of supply still around the area. These are the energy facilities throughout the Gulf region in the Middle East now that have been hit, certainly in Israel, in the northern city of Haifa. But this activity here is really striking, right? That's Kuwait, Qatar, Bahrain, that's the UAE, and it is just across the Persian Gulf and an easier target for the Iranians. Retired Vice Admiral Robert Harward is with me now, former Deputy Commander of CENTCOM. And sir, welcome to our coverage. Day 35 now. What's your focus? What are you observing now?
Bill, as you just talked about, it still remains the missiles and the Straits of Hormuz. The fact that after 35 days, we've still not been able to shut down their missiles and we can't get traffic through the straits, make it clearly understand why the president's frustrated. But you can say this is also the last lifeline for the government of Iran. That's their last elements of power. So they've got to sustain that to remain in power, not only externally, but internally. And you also talk about this bridge. The geography of Iran is very...
I'm not so sure. So oil is a large portion of Iran's exports, and obviously controlling the strait, the power that they get from controlling the strait is more about blocking other people like the Gulf's allies from being able to export their oil on, like, without having to come to them for permission, essentially, right? Or, like, obviously they're probably not going to do that until, you know, they're no longer at war with Iran, but like the power, like, so obviously a lot of their income and stuff comes from oil. I'm not exactly sure how much. Let me see if I can Google real quick. What percent of Iran's income oil? Okay, Google AI says 18% to 50%, which is a huge range. Let's see, Iran oil revenue is around 20% is what this thing says. So 20% of their revenue comes from oil. So even if they were unable, like even if they mined it, or if they completely destroyed it, or if you completely destroyed all of Iran's oil capabilities, the fact that they still are able to control and shoot missiles and drones for the indefinite future at anybody who's trying to use it, like it would essentially, like that is where their power comes from when it comes to the strait. It's not necessarily just about how much, like, about their oil, I guess.
Very limiting.
Or their income.
The Zagros Mountains running north to south in the west, the Alborz Mountains in the north running east to west, and then the large deserts such as the Dasti Kadir make these roads critical to Tehran. These are somewhat the main thoroughfares. So if they're going to move logistics, if they're going to move people, they're going to move assets along these roads. So I think that's why they decided to start going after some of the civilian and significant infrastructure.
Well, we've talked about asymmetric warfare,
that's why.
and you know, the asymmetry that Iran has really poses a danger for the region and the United States. Talk about Hezbollah and the Houthis, et cetera. But here's another aspect a lot of people haven't considered. Wall Street Journal today: Iran beefs up defenses, recruits children as it prepares for ground war.
The Wall Street Journal. Okay, buddy. Okay, buddy. We'll see. I would have to read that article. I'm assuming they'll go into it a little bit. But yeah, I'm not quite buying it yet.
This is an all-out fight if the U.S. invades, including new attacks on the Gulf. With regard to that potential invasion, what do you see in the amphibious forces that have moved in there? What do you see in the 82nd Airborne, sir?
The options to put troops on the ground anywhere we want. If it's going to help solve those two problems on the missiles and the straits, then it may be worth the risk. But they can't deny us access, talking about asymmetric warfare, where they tried to deter us from activities. That's what they've used the missiles and the straits for. They can't stop our forces. If we want to put those assets...
Okay, dude. Okay. I do believe, well, I don't know. I'm actually kind of 50-50 if America is even capable of doing an Iraq-style occupation of Iran, especially at this point in time with, like, I don't know, how bloated and degraded our military is. Like, I don't, maybe we can. Like, we do have the biggest, like, you know, the strongest military in the world. We spend an ungodly amount of money on it. However, it's going to be a bloodbath. That's what I keep saying. And it's not really about whether we militarily can. It's about whether we have the political will to do it. And the American populace so far hates this fucking war. They don't want to do it. And when you start getting, and remember, Iraq, like, it was like thousands of troops, right, that died over the course of that occupation. If we did this in Iran, it would be tens of thousands. It could be 50,000, you know, like, it would be a huge amount of people who would die. And I just don't think that we have the political will to do that. And that's where I think these guys get a little mixed up. The pics are just a parade, like when we take our kids to visit the retired USS Iowa, the soldiers toss vests on the kids and stuff. Oh, gotcha. So if that's what they're talking about with the child soldiers or whatever. Yeah, I mean, I assumed that it was something bullshit like that. Or I was thinking maybe it would be like they're having, like, you know, the kids, like, can come to some military, like, expose, or like a military sort of, like, event or something, and then that's how they get I guess that's kind of the same thing, but, like, that's how they're calling it. Yeah, I didn't really buy it, but I was hoping they'd go a little bit more into it. Maybe they will after this.
We can do that, and they can't stop us.
Okay, Javad Zarif, I think I'm saying his name right. He's the former Iranian foreign minister, okay? So he's not in power, but he is alive. And apparently he put out a proposal in a written piece that cleared overnight. And this is what he said in part: how Iran should end the war. Tehran should offer to place limits on its nuclear program and to reopen the Strait of Hormuz in exchange for an end to all sanctions, a deal Washington would not take before but might accept now.
Okay, Tehran should offer to place limits on its nuclear program. They already offered that. They didn't have any desire for a nuclear weapon. And to reopen the Strait of Hormuz that was open before this whole thing started in exchange for an end to all sanctions. That would be so. Okay, first and foremost, I think Iran can do a little better than that at this particular moment in time. However, this would be hilarious if we took this deal, because it would be the exact same situation that they were in before the war even started, except they would have, like, all sanction, like, complete and total sanctions relief. And if you remember when Iran literally offered, like, crazy concessions to America before this all started, like, they offered the whole world on a platter, like, everything that America could possibly want, like, and like, Trump said no, like, and so I don't know. But I still think Iran could probably get a little bit more than this. I think that they will just maintain full control of the Strait of Hormuz for the indefinite future, and they'll probably, you know, do their, like, tolls or whatever, because there's nothing that America can really do about it aside from a full military occupation. But yeah.
I don't know how this works in the hierarchy of power within the Iranian government now, but does that tell you something about the potential for the state of diplomacy? Because if people are listening to him, I think that's the first indication, maybe, that the Iranians are moving in these so-called talks.
Bill, without a doubt, you have a senior leader acknowledging the demands we've made. And so that's a big step in and of itself. But validation of, does he have the authorization? Who's speaking for the government? So that's at least a crack in that veneer, that here's a guy who willing to step forward and has been part of the government to say that. So I think you're seeing indicators of the regime and how fragile and how damaging this has become to them. And understanding, like, your previous statement about children, a lot of it's just rhetoric as well. So how do you differentiate what's reality and what is rhetoric from the regime? And this is part of their problem. It may get to the point where it's too late. They're putting out rhetoric and it's already a fait accompli. So I know our intelligence community is seeing that, understanding that, and we'll see how this plays out at
the reason I mentioned him also, just to put a fine point on this, is that he is the one who helped propose the current president of Iran. So maybe his words carry weight. And maybe they don't, but it's a data point that we'll watch.
Great analysis. Love it. They really didn't talk about the child soldier stuff at all. I thought that was what this video was going to be about. It turned out to just be like they briefly mentioned it in the middle. Sorry. Like I said before, I think that yeah, it's probably bullshit. According to, Rich Buddy here, it's like a parade where they're just, tossing vests on children, just, to doing typical like rah, we're getting behind the flag of our, or like lining up behind the flag of our government sort of stuff. So